Hello everybody, this is the first video that we're doing. This tutorial is going to get you started with Rhino. And Rhino is the software environment we're using for the course for 3D1. And I'm assuming that nobody has worked with Rhino before, that you're all new to it. And so these videos are to get you up and running and comfortable with using Rhino. So the first thing you'll notice when you open Rhino is that there are a lot of tools. It's very big. And this is used by architects and product designers. And typically what these models that are created in Rhino, the software is designed so that you can digitally manufacture your models. So digital manufacturing refers to any digital technology that produces models or buildings, products, whatever. 3D printing, laser cutting, those are the two that we're using in the course, but there's many other digital manufacturing techniques. So this is why it can be a bit daunting, because it's industrial strength. So have a look at the structure here, the menu system. We've got the menu bar on the top. We have tabs down here. We've got a left menu bar with tools. We've got a right menu bar that has other types of tools. And then there's a menu bar in the bottom. So anytime you get into a new 3D software, you want to get used to the environment. You just want to sort of feel your way around and get comfortable with everything. So we've got these multiple views. You can see that there's 4 windows here. And the tab that I've got open, the viewport layout, this is the default view that you're going to get when you open up the software. And if you want to change it, because we've got a perspective window, we've got a top view, front view, right view. And what you're going to be doing with Rhino is that you're usually going back and forth between a 2-dimensional view, such as top, and the perspective 3-dimensional view, where you can view your model from all sides. And typically with a lot of these tools, you have to apply them in a 2-dimensional window, and then you want to view the results in the 3-dimensional perspective window. So to change it up, I've selected perspective, and then I hit the one window, and then this is where you can zoom in and be able to move around. So the first thing you want to do is just get oriented where you can function in this environment. You can look at your models, you can zoom in, and you need to use a mouse that has a wheel on it, because zooming is from scrolling the wheel. So I'm scrolling the wheel to zoom in and out, and then I'm right-clicking to rotate, and then if I hold down the shift key and use the right mouse button, then I can pan back and forth. So you can get comfortable with going between a single window view, 4 window views, and then moving things around quite a bit. So this cube that I made, it's not symmetrical. For the project, you want to make a 50 mm cube. So one of the things that you're going to learn how to do, you have to learn how to do, is using numbers, entering numbers to create the dimensions you want. And the way to do that is there's a box edit tool over on the right side. So if you look at the gear icon and you click it, you'll see there's this thing called box edit, and it gives you tools for changing the dimensions and the position of a lot of the geometry you're creating. With the box edit tool open, and then you select the geometry that you want to change. I want to make this 50 millimeters exactly, because 50 is a nice round number. If you look at some of these dimensions, you've got 18.013. I mean, you can't work with numbers like that. You want to work with numbers that are easy to work with. So if we're working with 50 millimeters, then if I want to by half, if I want to move something to the midpoint, I know it's going to be 25 millimeters. So there's a 50 millimeter cube, and this is the starting point for project 1. You can start to do some operations to change this up and manipulate it and decide what you want to design. Okay. Now, the other thing you'll notice is that by default, the ground plane here in the perspective view is the midpoint of the cube. So I want to move it up, and so all I have to do is go to the position entry point for positioning this, and on the X, Y, and Z coordinates, in the perspective space, you've got X, Y, and Z. And Z is the height, Y is the length, X is the width. And you'll also see that there's a green and red for the X and Y coordinates. So I want to move this corner into the corner of those guides. And that's really simple because half of 50 in the position on each coordinate is going to be 25 pixels, sorry, 25 millimeters. If you're drawing things by freehand, I mean, it's fine to draw freehand to create the type of model or the type of solid geometry you're going to create, but then you want to size it using the box edit tool. And one thing that I would say that you have to do as a best practice is the final output of your 3D print being 50 millimeters by 50 millimeters by 50 millimeters. It means that you design it from the very beginning at the exact scale that you're going to output it. And you want to avoid scaling things, zooming things up to bigger scale, the actual model, making it bigger or smaller by scaling, because that can really create a lot of problems down the road when you want to create a 3D print. Okay, so there's our 50 millimeter cube. That's the starting point for playing around doing the exploration for project 1. And if you want to save this, it's really simple. You just hit save. Or I've already saved it. So if I do save as, what I like to do is I've got a folder on my desktop that is Rhino 5, and I keep all my Rhino files in there. So your project files, you're going to have a lot of them, and keep them in one place. Make a folder that is the name of the project. Make sure you bring them in every week, and make sure that you save often because you don't want to lose your work. So the other thing that I should point out here is that when you open up Rhino and you're using the Windows panel here, you want to look for Rhino. And if you have the same image that I have on this computer, there's multiple versions of Rhino, and they shouldn't be there, but they are. And if you always want to use the Rhino 5 64-bit. Okay, so make sure that you're using that version. And then this little window comes up when you create a new file. And it gives you templates for the units that you want to work with. And because the requirement for this project is outputting in 3D print, the units that you use for a 3D printer are millimeters. Okay, so we select that, small objects, millimeters, and then basically what it means is that all of our units are exactly what we want. So when you're 3D printing, you always want to use millimeters. Okay, we will pick this up in the next video, and you can start working in Rhino. Get comfortable with it.